by the screen there. The committee today, if we're happy with that, the committee today consists of myself, Councillor Kate Thomas,
Councillor Rice.
Councillor Janet Pevley.
Thank you. Also present, can I ask the Democratic Services officers to introduce themselves, or service officer to introduce themselves?
Good morning, my name is Emily Major, I'm a governance officer.
And
I'm Tara, I'm governance officer.
thank you. And Minister of the Licensing Committee to introduce themselves.
Cyfarfod, I'm the solicitor.
Thank you. And now can I ask Gwent Police, acting as a responsible authority, who submitted the review and who are applicants, to introduce themselves?
Yeah, PC6 in it, Owen Williams.
Thank you. Lastly, may I ask the licence holder of the premises licence to introduce themselves?
David Bosman, Director of Harvey's Leisure.
Thank you, welcome this morning. Thank you. You don't have a representative with you today. Thank you. Can I confirm that with my fellow councillors, if any member has a declaration of interest before the application hearing continues? It's noted that both the responsible authority, Gwent Police, and the licence holder have agreed with appropriate conditions to be attached to the premises licence so as to promote the licensing objectives. As such, as I will ask the licensing manager to summarise the report, as the report is fully read by the committee. In the light of the police and the licence holder agreeing conditions pre the review, so as to promote the licensing objectives, I ask if they can summarise their cases unless either parties wish for a full hearing. Right, so I will now ask the licensing officer to summarise the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. As you highlighted in your introduction, both parties have agreed conditions to help promote the licensing objectives. As such, I'll just summarise the paperwork if everybody's happy here today. As stipulated, a review application came under Section 51 of the Licensing Act 2003. This was received by ourselves on the 28th of November 2022, and that came from Gwent Police. The review licence is in respect to the Scrum Half, as stipulated in your introduction, and the application for this review is on the following licensing objective of the prevention of crime and disorder. A full copy of the review paperwork can be found in Appendix A of this report. As the application review was received on the 28th of November, a full licensing consultation took place. This allowed other licensing responsible authorities or other persons, i.e. the residents or businesses in the local area, to make representation by the 26th of December 2022. We received no other representation from responsible authorities or local residents. As highlighted within the report and before you today, the licence is actually owned by Harvey's Leisure Limited, and Dave Barton here is the chair of that. The current DPS is Rachel Merchant, but I believe I've also left the premises. The premises licence allows a number of licensing activities, but in principle, if I just speak about, alcohol can be sold there on Monday to Thursday from 10 to 1 and Friday to Saturday 10 till 2, alongside lesser hours on Sunday 10 till midnight and New Year's Eve 10 to 3 o'clock. The other licensing activities follow suit. As stipulated, we received an application review from the police, and you may hear a small summary regarding why the police called the review. But in principle, the premises, as highlighted in the background history of the report, there are a number of issues with the premises for the last 12 months. First, by previous management of the team, where serious incidents of the Scrum Half took place, as indicated within the report. And then there were further issues with the current management in place, particularly regarding criminality that the police may wish to review. As part of the issue and the review, we then sat down with Gwent Police and also part of Leisure Limited as part of the mediation meeting to discuss this matter. And I must say, Harvey's Leisure Limited were very forthcoming and very proactive within that meeting. They weren't obstructive in any way, and obviously clearly wants to promote the 4 licensing objectives. There was frank discussions from both sides through that meeting, and ultimately, clearly the police wanted to look for a revocation of the premises licence on initial application due to the management in there. But clearly through that mediation meeting, clearly there were some common grounds between the licence holder and the police to promote the 4 licensing objectives, meaning a slightly different stance from the police of not asking for a revocation, but changes to the actual licence. These changes were the removal of all management team from the licensed premises, all management and staff to cease having any involvement with the licensing premises. I believe the licence holder has already served notice on the management team, and this condition is now being met by the premises from the 31st of December 2022. Just get the date, sorry. The police also wished that the current DPS be removed once again, and that has also been taken place by the licence holder. And the licensing activities to actually cease at 23:30 hours, and the premises to close at 00 hours until New Year's Eve, when the licensing activities continue on New Year's Eve from 2:30 to 3 o'clock. These points were both agreed by the licence holder and Gwent Police, and Gwent Police stipulated that they feel these changes, permanent changes to the licence, would mean the 4 licensing objectives will be easier to be upheld by the applicant. Clearly, the decision for the committee today is one of the committee's decisions. We have a number of options. Clearly, one of those would be to attach these as conditions on the premises licence and look to reduce the hours as indicated by the police. Other options available for the licensing panel today are obviously you can suspend the licence, you could revoke the licence, you could add further conditions to what the police have suggested, or you could revise the hours, or in fact you could take no action against the licence holder. I think the proactive nature of the licence holder, who is tenant the premises, and when attendance takes place, they will do their due diligence on that premises, but they won't have the information maybe that the police will have in regard to criminal records. This was discussed in the mediation meeting, and Mr. Bartlett had gone through due diligence in the opinion of the police. And it is felt those extra conditions and the reductions of hours would assist the premises promoting. Another proactive measure undertaken by Harvey's Leisure in this case is the premises current closed. And the conversation between Harvey's Leisure, the police and ourselves is that when somebody goes in there, I believe that the premises will be closed for a couple of weeks just to allow dust to settle in many ways. Then Mr. Barton will have to submit a DPS variation to the licensing authority. And I think there was a common ground that the police and Harvey's Leisure would work in regard to that and to ensure that issues of such don't occur again at this premises. That pretty much highlights the report in front of you today. I know that all members have read this, so it is very much a summary in the fact that there is an agreement here. I won't go through all the legal proceedings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask fellow committee members if they've got any questions for the officer at this point.
Then at this point.
I'd like to hear what the general would have to say.
Thank you. Right. Well, the next, would you like to summarise from the police point of view on this?
Yeah, sure. Alistair has already given a decent summary. So from our perspective, just like to reiterate what we're asking for is removal of the management team from the licensing premises, that all management or staff cease having any involvement with the licensed premises. The designated premises supervisor, the DPS, be removed from the premises license and replaced with a new DPS. That all licensing activities cease at 23:30 hours. The premises to close at 00 unless New Year's Eve, which they already have. What we respectfully request is that the licensing committee amends the hours of the premises license, removes the DPS from the premises license, and as a further condition preventing the current management team and the staff to have any involvement with the premises. Just summarising briefly, page 35 and 36, I believe that you have had access to. Incidents initially started in the 12th of March 2022, involving fights taking place outside of the premises. Police remained outside in the area, were challenged by 2 intoxicated persons believed to be a management team from inside Cyfarfod. On the 14th of June, we asked for a meeting to take place to discuss proposed action between us and the Newport City Council licensing team. As it was clear to both of us that they were not promoting the crime and disorder. It was then agreed a new DPS and management team would be beneficial. Meeting took place on the 7th of September. This is my colleague PC Checker, the licensing manager Alistair, licensing officer Steve Pontin, plus the local neighbourhood sergeant who was also present. The DPS Rachel Martin was not at the venue, but 2 members of the management team were. It became very evident to us that Rachel Martin, who was the named DPS, had not been involved in the everyday running of the premises, and is simply a DPS of convenience, meaning she simply placed her name on paperwork, but has absolutely no intention to be involved in the day-to-day running that we would expect of the premises. And responsibility fell on the management team and staff at the venue. The local neighbourhood team also recognized that the management team would undermine 4 licensing objectives, specifically the objective of crime and disorder. But at the stage of the meeting, there was no evidence to meet the licensing threshold. Instead, both the police licensing team and licensing authority worked with the venue to try and ensure that the 4 licensing objectives were upheld and provided advice and support ongoing. Further on, there was another incident involved report of potential drug use inside premises. As a result of this, as part of condition 10 of the premises licence, which stipulates CCTV system will be installed inside and outside. The cameras will cover the internal areas, and this will be made available to inspection by the police and other responsible authorities as requested. We were met with a blank response of 2 cameras were replaced, resulting in the complete wiping of the CCTV system, which from our experience would not happen. So they already had not met that condition. And further to that, on the 11th of November, the manager of the Scrum Park was actually arrested by ourselves on that date, being stopped in the vehicle. And on the 12th of November, charged for the following offences: conceal, disguise, convert, transfer or remove criminal property, and supply a psychoactive substance. It's an ongoing investigation at this time still, as it stands, and also for driving a motor vehicle with a proportion of a specified controlled drug above the specified limit. And a further team member of the premises, an associate of the manager, was present at the time of the arrest as well, and has also been charged for this similar offences. They have attended court, however, it is an ongoing case at this time. So clear questions have to be asked of the licence holder. What due diligence they are doing when placing new tenants in the premises, specifically around proactive active DPS on the premises. It's the opinion of the police that the premises failure to provide CCTV regarding the complaint of the cocaine opening being consumed on the premises and the recent arrest, that the premises, or at least the management team, are involved for the sale and distribution of drugs controlled under the Misuse of Drugs Act 1971 and potentially laundering of the proceeds of drugs crime. A search for licence review has been called to ensure the promotion of the licensing objectives.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have my colleagues got any questions of the police officer?
Yeah, at this stage.
Can I just ask you, who do you see as being, or the police see as being responsible for the operation of the CCTV cameras?
That would be the DPS,
Right,
and the management team, yes.
and the management team. Right, thank you.
That's the responsibility of them.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And so pass on to the licence holder. Perhaps you can summarise your case now. Or is it all previously said?
I agree with everything that he said. I mean, we can read as an owner of the property, the mechanics of our business is that we lease those clubs out to tenants. We can only do certain due diligence. So at the time, I think some of the allegations are from a previous tenant who moved on. So I market the premises. Certain people come forward. I interview them, meet them. We can do finance checks and whatever, but sort of due diligence what we need to do, we can't actually do ourselves. So I think going forward, we've agreed that we would talk before a new tenant is found and find out who the DPSs would be and see if they are suitable and take it from there.
Thank you very much.
That's as best as I can do at the moment. And understand where the police are coming in and licenses management. They have agreed to go forward and implement those on the.
Thank you. Yep. I think-
Yeah, good. Who are you going to ensure this doesn't happen again?
I mean, how can we, I mean, other than looking at the due diligence and looking at a meeting with the police and licensing that the DPS is suitable. I mean, there were certain things in the meeting that the police didn't tell me about the candidates because it's an ongoing investigation. So hopefully if we work together, we'll do our best to change that, other than going there on a regular basis. If I'm honest, I don't know.
Will you not be going there on a regular basis to check that things are okay? I mean, these are quite serious issues that came up.
I wasn't aware of the situations, if I'm honest. The first I knew about the current situation was when I had an email from licensing to say that we need to do a license meeting and it was going to go to review. So that was the first time that I knew that there was issues on the premises at that time.
So hence my point here, we're going to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Well, I go there most weeks collecting rent. I also supply beer to those premises because I'm a wholesaler. So I'm there maybe once or twice a week on that basis. So I probably need to take into some sort of some sort of check or make sure that things like CCTV are working as license holder. So that's the thing I need to bring into the business or into the, especially the scrum and introduce that. And hopefully that if this happens, something like this happens again, that I do get notified and I'm aware of it,
Hopefully something like this won't happen
Yeah,
again.
hopefully, yeah.
So another issue I picked up on, you've totally changed the management and staff. Did I hear that correctly?
We have management as such as that the mechanics of Harvey's Leisure is that we own the pubs, the freeholds, and then we lease them out. We do run a couple of the premises ourselves, and then this is the lease out, and we take a rent. They have a beer obligation to buy their beer from us. So so they're the tenant. Yes, they're managing it. We're the license holder. The reason that Harvey's Leisure is the license holder is that we took the review when we had 14 clubs at one stage in the road Newport, and when I was listed by then, I think it's always been that Harvey's Leisure had the license in their name, so we know that something like this has gone on instead of it going to review in somebody else's name or we lose license on the premises. So that's why we've always kept the license in our name or in Harvey's Leisure's name to know that if there's a situation like this.
So the management and staff, management and staff at the premise have been
So
changed.
basically, we had a meeting, and it was I agreed at the meeting that I would like to take legal representation because they had a lease. I took legal representation, and I served them a 21-day notice to vacate the premises. And they've also signed a deed of surrender, so there's no lease or tenancy agreement in place now. And they agreed to cease trading as of the 31st of December and to clear the sessions by the following Sunday, which are completed. The premises traded on the 31st of December and hasn't traded since then. The doors are all locked and sealed, and nobody's been in the premises since.
How about the clientele that use the premises to take their drugs and sell their drugs? Has any action been taken about that? Are those people being banned?
The premises are not trading.
No, but those people.
I wouldn't know who they were, So
Yeah, that's the.
It's the police, I think.
Yeah, that's something that's
Yeah.
going to have to be
Yeah.
addressed potentially in a watch meeting or something.
And your ongoing investigation,
sure.
because you might have the same individuals presumably.
But action will be taken to stop perpetuation with the same people
Yeah.
coming in and doing the same
Yeah,
things.
obviously we don't want any of those same people going on the premises. The investigation is ongoing, however, obviously that will work with Newport licensing as well and local businesses to hopefully identify the other people involved and to get them banned from the practice in the area as well.
I'm certainly looking forward to that being
Yeah.
a couple of meeting.
Yes.
Councillor Clare.
Yeah,
has
I've got a few
question on the
questions,
licence
sorry.
one as well.
Did you advertise for a new tenant?
Did we advertise?
Yes.
On this occasion, I think we put something in the window saying to premise up for let. I mean, I think I had something in the region of 15 to 20 applicants looking at the
And
premises.
do they provide references?
We go for references and we also do finance checks as well.
I was going to say, and what training do they undertake?
But they always have, so whenever the DPSs have to have an institute of innkeeping, so they must have their own, to get a personal license, so they do that bit of training. And that's the person who needs to be there on a regular basis, and runs the premises. But the management don't actually take any of it.
There's no qualification for the management as part of being a designated premises supervisor, and they have to have a formal qualification. And as part of the DPS process, and it also goes to the police, who will then do a criminal record check and go through that. So clearly, the DPS, as indicated in the report, is essential to be on the premises at all times, as the police have indicated. It's felt that the DPS submitted by the management team, not Harvey's left at leisure, was just there as a person of name, because it could have been potential they could have obtained, i.e. a qualification, or they may have not qualified under the police checks or undertaken. So,
Okay, thank you for that. That's all my questions.
Yes, I have a couple here. Obviously, it's not in your interest to have the premises closed. You want to be able to, rent it out and have an income from that. So how long do you propose, when are you going to try and inspect a new management
It's
team?
been shut now since the 31st of December.
Yeah,
I haven't actively marketed the property. My intention is to we'll probably keep it shut till the end of January,
right,
and I will look to market it then.
during February, possibly. Right, okay. Have you thought about anything you can put in the terms and conditions for the tenant of how they check their staff? Are there any sort of does staff actually? I don't know the answer to this. Do staff? Is there any obligation to have any sort of criminal record check? I don't mean an enhanced one. I'm sure that will be necessary, but an ordinary criminal record check for staff coming into
Is that for any member of staff?
Yeah.
or-
anybody who's an employee, for an employee.
there's no legal requirement, Councillor Thomas. A basic disclosure can be submitted at each, but
I'm really thinking of Mr. Barton's covering Mr. Barton's business, because he wants to be able to not see a recurrence of any of this stuff that's happened in the past. Will they employ door staff, and can you specify that in your
It's
contract with them?
It's a
there's specific conditions regarding door staff on the licence. Clearly, the DPS will obviously undertake a basic disclosure, but also the police will check. And I think it's essential that whoever the DPS is actually proactively on the premises, and not the advice, depending on what is the decision today, is that whoever signs the tenancy, that the DPS is present on the premises the majority of the time, rather than somebody who's just named, or maybe on the premises once a week. Sometimes it's relevant to have a DPS who may be on the premises only two days a week because of the design of the premises. But I mean, maybe on this case, the DPS needs to be a bit more proactive.
Yes, that was this one.
Previously, most of the DPS, most of the tenants that I've had over the years, Harvey's Leisure is 24 years old now, so we finished mechanics of that quite early in the company's history. Most of the DPS then, when the DPS were brought in, Your licensing out that most of the DPSs were the tenants.
Right.
It's only occasionally that you get a situation
Right.
probably
Okay.
like this, you know.
Okay. So it seems to me crucial on this one, you know, these camera business, the previous DPS had clearly, it was in their interest not to have the cameras in working order. Can you make some specification to them that they have to be in working order?
I think it's on the license, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is on the licence, right, okay.
It's on
Right, so there was a breach of the licence
Yeah,
anyway.
one of the main breaches
Okay,
of the license.
yeah. Right. I don't think I have any further questions. So I'll just catch up with my notes here. So before the committee retires, we'd like to thank you very much for attending today. Your time is much appreciated, and you know, obviously we will let you know within 5 working days of the outcome of our deliberations now. You'll get an email as well, but it will be confirmed in writing. And if you wish to appeal it, if that's the route you want to go down, you can do that through the Magistrates Court within 21 days. Okay, so thank you very much. Thanks for your time this morning.
The decision can be made.
The decision, unlike taxi committee, it can
Oh,
be
right,
made
okay.
if,
All right, thank you.
if you wish to adjourn and if
Let
they
me
want
just
to wait.
consult with my colleagues. Is there anything that we want to speak about privately? Really discussing this?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So we would request that you leave the meeting. That's okay. So thank you very much. Thank you.
If you would just wait outside, we'll call you back.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I think that's a good man. Thank you. Thank you. Right, thank you. We've agreed that we accept the amendments which you're carrying out, which you've worked towards, obviously, in conjunction with the police. So thank you for that. The licensing and responsible authorities will be monitoring the situation at the pub when you have new tenants in there. And we're aware, obviously, there are further sanctions which are available to the licensing committee, and we hope that the new management and you as the owner of the premises will keep this in mind. And we trust that you'll take an active role in making sure that there's no further incidents which could cause problems to yourselves and to the premises there, and obviously to the community in the area. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Okay, right. Right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, just have 5.
Yeah, 5 minutes, yeah. Yes, it was, wasn't it? I used something to do. Right. Please do take a seat. Right.
Yes, it's probably then like put it over there, it was like.
Came back
and I
again.
didn't read it, bounced back, oh, that was keeping you, and I didn't read it.
Well, I printed one out, you see, and then only it's a
Ah, right.
the one.
Yes, that's how you got,
Yeah.
I didn't read that bit.
Then we go by the picture. Is it actually live at the moment, recording? Or is it recording? Right. Yeah. Funny. If we start now, obviously the meeting is being recorded. If we'd been meeting, I believe, in the council chamber, but we have a bird problem in there apparently today. But we're meeting in this room and we're recording it so that it can appear on the, obviously on the public website, which is the council's. So firstly, may I welcome everyone to the licensing hearing for the consideration and decision in respect to the application of the review of premises licence under section 51 of the Licensing Act 2003, the Pod Rodney Road, Newport, NP19 OAP. Before commencing the hearing, I'd like to ask the Democratic Services to confirm that they're happy for myself as chair of the licensing committee to proceed with the hearing. The committee today consists of myself, Councillor Kate Thomas as chair, and councillors
Janet Cleverly.
Alan Morris.
Thank you. Also present, can I ask the Democratic Services officers to introduce themselves?
Good morning, I'm Lee Major, I'm a governance officer.
I'm the Australian governance officer.
And also present, can I ask the licensing, beg your pardon, the licensing officer to introduce herself.
Legal.
Legal officer to introduce herself.
I'm Gemma Stafford, I'm assistant.
And then the licensing officer to
My name is
introduce herself.
I'm Alistair Dealing, I'm the licensing manager for Newport City Council.
And now can I ask the Environmental Health acting as the responsible authority who submitted the review and who are the applicants to introduce themselves?
James Holland, Charlie Holland.
Thank you. Lastly, can I ask that the POSD premises licence holder and the designated premises supervisor to introduce themselves along with any representatives of theirs today?
Hello, my name is Jan Casnewydd. I'm the designated supervisor for the pod.
Thank you.
Newna.
Thank you. Also, any other persons who I don't believe we have present to make the representation to the licensing authority to introduce themselves. We're joined by the police in the background, but I don't believe that you're contributing to the meeting. Right, thank you. Can I confirm with my fellow councillors if any members has a declaration of interest regarding the application hearing? Okay. The procedure for today's hearing is as follows. Firstly, I'll ask the licensing manager, Alistair Dealing, to read out the committee report. I will then ask the applicant from Newport City Council Environmental Health to put their case forward regarding the review of application before us today. And I'll then ask the premises licence holder to put their case forward. Once the committee have heard all representations, it will retire to make a decision in private. As such, we will ask people to leave the meeting and we'll reconvene with the decision. So I'll now ask the licensing manager, Alistair Dealing, to present the licensing committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. A review application under Section 51 of the Licensing Act 2003 was received on the 22nd of November 2022 from Newport City Council's Environmental Health Department, particularly their noise team, acting as a role as a responsible authority to review the premises licence issued in respect of the pod Rodney Road, Newport. The applicant for the review relates to the following licensing objectives: the prevention of public nuisance. A copy of the review paperwork and supporting documents can be found in Appendix A of this report. Noise recordings of the alleged public nuisance from the pod have been offered to all parties concerned and can be be presented by Environmental Health Officer today if required to do so. The applicant was received as stipulated in the report on the 22nd of November 22, and in accordance with section 51(3)(a) of the Licensing Act 2003, the review was served on all responsible authorities via email. Following receipt of the application, the licensing authority advertised the application in accordance with the regulations of the Licensing Act 2003, thereby inviting representations to be made by interested parties and representations in respect of the application to be submitted by interested parties no later than the 20th of December 2022. The licence holder is the pod Newport Limited, and this is located on 61 Calvary Road. And as introduced, the current designated premise supervisor who's before you today is Jan Kostler. The premises licence relates to a number of licensing activities. Firstly, the sale of alcohol Monday to Sunday from 7 AM to 1 o'clock. Performance of live music, as indicated in the report, with the appropriate times: Wednesday from 5 to 11, Thursdays 5 to 11, on a Friday and Saturday 5 to midnight, and Sunday 5 to 11. The recording of recorded music Monday to Sundays from 7 to 1 o'clock. They also have provisions to provide late night refreshment from 2300 to 1 o'clock, and the opening hours of the premises are open to members of the public Monday and Sunday from 7 to 1:30. Clearly, a copy of the report premises licence can be found in Appendix 4 of the report. The licensing authority invited representation from responsible authorities and other persons to be submitted before midnight on the 23rd of December. The licensing authority received a number of representations from other persons, i.e. people who could be living in the local area or use the facilities of the pod. These can be found in Appendix C. As the committees that have already read the report, I won't read those individually, but those and highlight that the premises is one of a safe venue and provides good entertainment and facilities for those who wish to use it. And I think that is also supported by the police not making any responsible authority request. The matter is a matter of prevention of public nuisance, and I don't think it's been questioned that POD's representation of running a responsible, safe venue in regard to the crime and disorder. And I think that's highlighted clearly within Appendix C of those who attend the pod, and those the fact that the police have made no representation. So the issue principle today is the prevention of public nuisance from noise from the premises, and not one of crime disorder. The premises is located on Rodney Road, Newport, and was actually previously a Taylor Wimpey sales office that was converted then into the pod, and is located on Rodney Road next to the riverbank of the River Usk. The map and pictures can be found of the premises can be found in Appendix D of this report. The premises was first granted a premises licence back on the 17th of June 2017. The premises licence in 2017 covered the inside of the premises and included a relatively small outside area of the premises. During the COVID outbreak, the pod started to utilise land that did not form part of their licensable area. This was permitted under the COVID regulations, thus meaning the outside area expanded probably approximately 4 times larger than the original Licensing Act 2003 application. This meant that the outside area of the premises started to approach nearer to residents. The pictures can be found in Appendix D of this report, highlighting that outside area. Clearly, under the COVID regulations, the premises was not required to seek permission for either the licensing authority or the authority's planning department, nor did the outside area require any public consultation. The temporary outside permitted development rights were introduced back in April 2020 due to COVID to support the hospitality industry. But these were removed on the 3rd of January 2022, with the Welsh Government encouraging businesses to submit planning applications before the 3rd of January 22, or businesses, or the Welsh Government's advice was all businesses cease trading in their areas of structure should be removed by the 3rd of January 22. Section 30 of the report highlights the council's policies considerations in regard to reviewing a premises licence, and clearly a review regarding prolonged or repeated instance of public nuisance would be a matter for a premises to be called into review in line with the council's policy. Section 11.3 also highlights the Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003 guidance issued by the government, once again highlighting that if public nuisance is being caused or is alleged to be caused by the premises, then clearly a review can be sought by either a responsible authority or another person. Other persons normally in these circumstances would be a local resident that would be affected by any noise from the premises. The legal considerations today for the committee to consider are in principle regarding the 4 licensing objectives, these being prevention of crime and disorder, public nuisance, prevention of public safety and protection of children from harm. Clearly, in this case, the prevalent consideration will be regarding prevention of public nuisance. The licensing committee, when determining the review today, can modify the premises licence conditions if they wish that will promote the licensing objectives. The licensing authority can determine that any existing conditions on the premises licences related to the live or recorded music will apply between 8 AM and 11 PM in line with the Live Music Act 2012, to exclude a licensable activity from the scope of the premises, to remove the designated premise supervisor from the licence, to suspend the licence for a period of no longer than 3 months, to revoke a premises licence, or take no further action in respect to the premises licence. In regard to the Live Music Act 2012, I'm just going to give you some contents in regard to that. The Licensing Act was brought in 2005, and in 2005, as many of the committee members who sat before will know, that a number of conditions were attached to premises licence. For example, doors, windows must be closed when regulated entertainment takes place, or an area would have to be sound regulated, or there should be no external speakers to the outside areas. With the introduction of the Licensing Live Music Act 2012, in principle, in very simple terms, that act made those conditions redundant between 8 and 11 o'clock. But what it meant was that the licence holder, even though those conditions were on the licence, still are required to promote the licensing or licensing objectives. But under the Live Music Act 2012, what it does say is if issues do occur, then a review can be sought to reinstate those conditions. So in many ways, the Live Music Act is, in some ways, is a privilege, but those privileges can be removed by the licensing committee. So there may be a condition on the licensed premises where a door must be closed, and that's good practice and advice. But if a premise is left as open and there wasn't any noise issue, they wouldn't breach the Licensing Act in regard to that. But in many ways, the Live Music Act 2012 allowed a bit more flexibility for licensed premises, but where issues are caused by noise or any other further issues, then it can be brought before the committee again, and those conditions then can be reinstated as lawful and will apply at all times between the hours that the premises are open. The contents of the application, I'm not going to read. I'm going to allow Mr. Holland to present his case rather than reading the whole appendix. And there's clear information of why the review has been called by Environmental Health today. As I say, Appendix A highlights Mr. Holland's representation on behalf of the Council's Environmental Health. This pretty much concludes the report for the licensing and perspective. If there's any questions for the committee or myself, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. For my colleagues.
No.
I have one question. It's about reference made to recorded music. And are there two categories of recorded music?
Yeah, so there are, in simple terms, two categories. One being background music, what isn't licensable, and then other recorded or live music is deemed as licensable. It's in very simple terms. In basic terms, background music is you should easily be able to talk over that, and it should just create ambience. It shouldn't be heard from outside the premises. It is what one would hear as a Queen Vic's background music, and the actors can think. That clearly highlights the kind of level that people can clearly hear over that, and it just creates an ambience. It shouldn't be there for entertainment. Clearly, it shouldn't be any background music. Wouldn't be defined as background music if it could be heard from the boundary of the premises or from outside the premises.
Right, question.
Live music, do you mean like a group or a singer?
So live music would consist of a singer, a band,
Yeah.
anything that's amplified. Recorded music will be defined as not a jukebox in its background. So say but if you have music playing that's louder,
Karaoke or something, yeah.
DJ, and things of the nature of karaoke.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I think at this point we can ask Mr. Holland to present his case. This is no further question. No, right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm James Holland, I'm practitioner in the Northern Neighbour team. So I'll give a quick sort of summary rather than sort of a summary review request. So in terms of background, first complaint was received in March 2018, and we've received quite a number of complaints over a period of time from 2018, 19, 2021, and obviously we set code in the middle of that was a bit challenging. That culminated in a abatement notice being served on the premises on the 30th of September 2021. And then we had a couple of sort of what we just spoke about, the breaches of that abatement notice and a breach of that abatement notice left and sent in December 2021. The complaint locations, we've got about 4 residential properties in the vicinity of the pod, so they're residential properties, flats, etc., that are within the area, and we've also got a couple of anonymous complaints as well. So in terms of the impact of having a couple of residents in that area that are affected, in total, from start to finish, we've had 23 sort of separate complaints relating to noise, and we've had about 7 or 8 subsequent to that notice being served. That I say 13 September 2021. In addition to that, we've had the council used a system called the Noise App, which is an online kind of app-based system that people can just download and record a recording. We've had in excess of 40 Noise App recordings from one of our complainants in the last couple of months relating to the Noise App. So when I say the last couple of months, I mean the duration of the complaint. As I say, there are about 4 residential properties affected, and they're all pretty much within the vicinity. In terms of sort of data protection, we won't release the exact location, but they're in the general vicinity of the premises. As Alice said, we're not in any way questioning the management or the general management of the premises. It's well-managed premises that we're aware of. As a local resident, I've been there myself. It's really just holding almost the administrative aspect of the placing some of the premises license conditions back on the license, which the light music factory has removed. So in terms of sort of our sort of recommendations or requests, we're looking at the removal of the live music act provisions, reinstatement of the premises license conditions. So the original PL, the original premises license, has a number of conditions that would be applicable that we look to kind of reinstate. Evening live music, we would look to slightly curtail live music to about 2200, to about till 10 o'clock. We would recommend or suggest no external regulated entertainment, and that would include recorded and live music. So I think one of the questions around types of entertainment is included where recording music and live music, so recorded through a speaker or a DJ, live music for a band. guitar, etc. No external regular entertainment at any time. No background music externally. And then and there's some discussion about the footprint, the size of the external area. Just looking to ensure that whole external area is included within the licensable footprint, the red square of the premises, so that any management can be included within that area. So that's essentially where we're at from our requests for our proposed outcomes from the review. Don't think there's any further information really other than the comprehensive introduction that Alison provided. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Have we taken background readings so we know what sort of noise level we're talking about?
We haven't done specific background recording. So to get to the point of the debate notes in September 2021, there was quite a lot of evidence gathering that the department did to get to the stage of, so witnessing noise within residential property, witnessing the streets. For us to serve a debate notice, and that's under the Environmental Protection Act 1990s, a slightly separate regime to licensing. There's a lot of evidence to went into, but that's generally perceptive. Can you hear it? How intrusive is it? Can you hear it over the stereo or the TV from the property line? But anything else is not specific.
Can I just ask you to confirm the first complaints, the date of the first complaint?
Yeah, the first complaint. So the first complaint we've got registered was the 19th of March 2018.
That was pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, 2 years pre-COVID.
No questions. And just to clarify, you were requesting that the restrictions on live music and recorded music would be up until 10 o'clock at night. Thank you. Yeah, and also a review of the area of activity outside the pub, which fell into the licensable area. Is that the right way of describing it?
Yeah, no. So we appreciate during COVID with us.
Yes.
COVID, an increase in the area. I'm not planning. I'm not one to kind of discuss the area. But what we would certainly suggest is any external area is then included within that kind of licensable area, with ensure that any external controls, any conditions.
Sorry, are you suggesting then that the original area should be expanded to the area which has recently been used, or are you suggesting it returns to the previous area as stated in the original licence application?
I'm stating that the red square, the administrative licensable footprint, so basically the site plan map, then reflects the reality of what's there currently.
Currently,
yeah.
I think
maybe I can assist with the licensing area. Obviously, we can't authorise something that hasn't been authorised.
Yeah.
So on this map, the area should go back to its original footprint. And it may be discussion outside this meeting that ourselves, planning and environmental health, can look at making that minor variation to permit maybe some of that area to be included, but that would be outside this meeting, because the area isn't technically licensable at this present. So
Right.
we can't authorise something that hasn't been authorised, if that makes sense.
I'm just going to ask a question which actually isn't to either of you. Just going to ask a question about the ownership of that land there. As the owner of the premises, do you also own the whole of that area, that larger area? No. Right, okay.
I don't know if you can come with the council with.
I can confirm that still hasn't been as the council is still part of the thing.
Right, okay, okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, just for continuity, because I'm going to come over to you both in a minute. Right, sorry. Yeah, do you want a piece of paper to write it down? Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Right, okay. So if we can just move on to the next bit. If there are no further questions from anybody, I'll just ask, yes, please, now, if I can ask you to present your case.
Just before Jan takes over, just on the open land, there was one complaint before COVID. I presume that was on the main building. and not the extended building. Also not the extended land that we went into after COVID.
So the complaints pre-COVID related to, yeah, your regional area.
Yeah.
Prior to the.
Okay, so obviously we extended over COVID. When we came out of COVID, we did a charity event on a Saturday, which was a day of DJs, which was our mistake. We should have applied for an extended license that day. I admit that, but we raised 6,000. Children from children in Newport. And I think that started, the backlash in a way. I said to all the certain occasions, but I was out for politics for that. But it seems to be, apart from that, that's the only live event, live music we have run from our open area.
Right,
Apart from that, we've got background music.
right.
And we've had, I don't think we've had, well, there's been no complaints on that extended area. I'd like to know if it's just that we need to, if we hear for our music license, whether it's on the main building and not the extended land.
Well,
yes, we need to apply for the license, and we will apply for that, because it seems to be that the council want to encourage now businesses to be going out more into the open area, to draw more people into Newport. And we will be applying for that, but it was a bit of a backlash from that.
Right. Well, obviously, what we want to establish today is where the origin of that stand was, and whether that is going to continue to be an issue, which might raise complaints from the area. And I think we ought to make it clear as well that it hasn't been, certainly as far as I'm aware, it's not an official council policy that everybody should expand to take over extra space. This was something very specifically suggested or required by Welsh Government during the times of COVID, and a whole lot of restrictions were lifted at that time, which have actually made things considerably more complicated and actually perhaps were a bit hasty sometimes. So, so yes, please, if you can go through your response to the case now.
So I just would like to mention, obviously we found it quite disappointing to find out that all of this was going on without valid knowledge. So most of the complaints that were made, we were not aware of it until we said the amendment notice. Now, I don't have any of the complaints prior to that, because I believe, as Paul said, that the night of the DJ, which was outside the event, was loud. However, it did finish at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, finishing our license. So we didn't have to apply to the temporary event because it was within the licensing hours in that time. However, the noise was accessible, and we do understand that the abatement notice was set because of that. However, there was complaints that happened on the 26th of September, and we have a complaints on 27th, 28th, 29th of August. And if we knew about those complaints at that time, we would not organize this event in the first place. So there would be no abatement notice to start with. Since that abatement notice, that's when it seems there is a certain amount of repetitive complaints from individuals who complaining on them. And when it comes to background music, I would like to note that it seems very subjective. So if I feel like this is above the background music, does it mean that other person, especially elderly person living in that area, who goes to sleep at, let's say, 9 o'clock, find it disturbing? Because as I can see from a couple of notices, we have a couple of complaints. On the 27th of March, 2022, we received a complaint. We didn't know about this complaint. This is a Mother's Day. I looked at our booking system. Last booking was at 4:30, and the last online activity, payment taken at 7 o'clock. So this complaint
has been made somewhere between 12 and 7 o'clock evening. Now, I would find very strange, especially if the bookings are for families with pets. And I would like you to have a look and consider a possibility of certain individuals actually making complaints against the court for the personal agenda. I'm not gonna name, but in the vicinity of our spaces, other owners of places which being jealous of our success, and that might be part of them. Like we don't obviously I can't make that. I don't know. It's just my opinion, but it could be. And I don't know if you know who exactly complaining, but I believe there is certain people who there is like the certain recordings which were made, but from a certain one person. So I would like you to take that into consideration as well. This is the 27th of the March. There's other parties which were on the 2nd, 3rd, and 7th of April. 3rd of April, sorry, 2nd of April, it was busy Saturday, it was rugby. I would like you to know that we are really close to Rodney Park, which obviously can figure to can facilitate up to 5,500 people who pass in by. So obviously in the time of the rugby, the general area will have the much higher noise pollution, traffic is bigger, etc. And on the 3rd of April, that was again Sunday, when according to our system, booking system, we had a christening. This christening, again, the last transaction was made at 7 o'clock, and that last transaction was only £75. So that means by 7 o'clock there was only few people left. Yet again, on that day, we received a complaint, which again we didn't know about. Any steps, any time when we were served a letter of impeachment, as it was from the 15th of December, we acted accordingly. So our policy at the moment is the bins outside the area, they can be emptied after 10 o'clock. We spoke with the bin company to make sure that the routes for the port are adjusted so it doesn't disturb things at the morning or at the night. The staff is told by 10 o'clock, no taking bins outside so they don't disturb that. During the light events, we hire an outside security company, which makes sure that all these events, just so you know, since the abatement of this being said, being inside and inside only. When is this going on? The doorman is instructed to close all the doors, allowing people in and out as they come in. The outside area emptied by 11 o'clock because we are in the residential area, including our classrooms, which have separate speakers. So anyone who is in that area needs to go inside, and they are only allowed to go outside for a smoke without drinking their hands so they don't stay and disturb. Everyone, this is an external company who we hired, and we have really positive response from them in regards to making our case. As they mentioned that our value compared to many of ours, it's very law abiding and forward towards these goals to be set and to be done right. So we did the additional steps we took is prior to the abatement notice, we've been having all sorts of music across, and the breach of the abatement notice on the 15th of December was our last big part, which went for because we received this this letter, we knew we got something wrong and we wanted to improve it. The issue with this particular day was that we had a department which we didn't know how to list. Unfortunately, even if we had to sort of make them lower the volume, they were not cooperative. That on the end, we decided no more from now, we don't have any of the bigger part. And or at least not the part which we don't know more. Now, what I would like to say out of this hearing, obviously, we don't want our license to be involved, and we want it to stay as it is, because even though it seems only as an hour, it will have a huge financial impact on our business, because the whole set of the top it's on its own on the other side of the river. So we have to attract people in order to bring them to us. Also, because we're not the only one in the facility, it makes us easier targets to complain against. Because I believe if you are in town, if you raise a voice complaint, you don't actually know who you're complaining against. Because you've got numerous places which are in the facility and you've got a huge footfall. If it's on our side of the river, even if it's a traffic from those pubs coming home at 1 o'clock or whatever, even when we are closed, they might be able to sit on our benches outside, raising noise, etc. This is unfortunately out of our control. And I would like you if you can make a note of that in terms of understanding that it's so much easier to single someone out if you are the only one on that side of the river. We are happy to. We didn't take any funds. We didn't hire any funds for this year because we have to wait for it after what will happen with this year. But going forward, to avoid any possibilities, because we believe when only times when the complaints are made, it's not when solo artists, duos, trios, or even quartets are playing, but it's the bands. So we would like to make a decision when going onwards from now, even those bands which we will no longer hire, only hire the duos, trios to reduce the noise. We also, since certain other complaints which we were aware of, we moved it's sort of oval shape, and the building which makes the complaint is on this side. So we did move the part on the other side, and further the space in between, and we keep the side those walls. The most recent event which led to healing, we believe, was that one of the events that we didn't move it. The kitchen level after the river. Again, that was unfortunately our mistake, but we are in that, and we are happy to rectify and adjust certain things. But we do feel that maybe this is such an extreme event for a venue which, like throughout the COVID, when we extended the outside area, not only we've done this because obviously we were allowed, but we also invite Alistair to come over and we talk about the certain areas and how far we can go, because we do want to work close to the council. We want to make sure that the people in our vicinity are happy. However, if it's a certain individual which complaining on numerous occasions consistently, then unfortunately sometimes you can't do anything about it. If someone holds a grudge against you, you won't anything what you do, you want to be able to change it. And if we're gonna end up with changing our licensing because a single individual who keep raising same issue over and over, I think that seems really unfair when a single person can dictate business and have a huge impact on people who we work with. And obviously if a single hour going from being able to have live music till 11 or 10 makes a huge difference, because most people even get at 8 o'clock and no one will want live music to be playing whilst they're eating. So,
And it's not right.
and 11 o'clock, it's, after 11 o'clock, if any of these companies were after 11 o'clock, I would understand. But all these complaints, most of them are before 7 o'clock. So,
It's not even like music.
and it's not even like music on some of the nights. So how subjective that background music can be? And is it only us? Because sometimes we go outside and, we have there is a car park in front of us. And you know how is it if you go, let's say, I don't know, it's City Tesco, when you have youth there with open booths and music. I'm not saying it's always there, but this could be sometimes an occasion as well.
Yeah, I think as local politicians, we all understand the points that you make, that if you have somebody who complains, they can keep on and on and on.
If we make them at 10 o'clock, are they going to stop complaining? We wait till 8 o'clock. There's one person complaining.
We understand the point you're making. Can you just mark out on the pictures here, which are the extent of the extent of the there's one area one there. Now, it's suddenly, I have to say, it hasn't been in there recently. But I recognise the building here, obviously, as being the one that I visited a couple of years ago now. Everything's either before or after COVID. It was definitely before COVID. But can you tell me where you extended your area's operations to on the outside? Because I can see a couple of, buildings there, which I don't remember being there before.
Last point, that putting outside area. I would like to mention that in India, we not only put a huge investment into doing it, so taking it apart with a huge financial loss for us as well.
Yeah.
Also, it brings clean the area from the antisocial behavior, because that area was known for people, doing drugs and stuff like this. Now it's monitored. We have
You've got cameras on.
360 camera, which covers the car park, because instead,
That's where they're
we didn't have that much issue. So
this is the river here. So the flats are here.
Rivers there.
Right.
That's there.
So the flats are here, and the art college is over the road, isn't it? So actually, it would be, presumably, if you were making a lot of noise, it could be heard of in the flats beside the river, on that side, on the outside.
That picture.
Yeah, or it's these things I'm looking at
It's
there.
not the open area that's making the noise,
Right,
because there's not any music in that open area. It's
Right.
Go down back. We made a mistake by doing the DJs that one day.
right.
we could serve to
And there's
So your charity event, is that the one you're talking
How
about?
many grand storms have you got? Just 2. And is there speakers in each room?
it's on a single speaker just under the paper.
Yeah.
That's nice. No,
So what do they play? Do they play the live music or?
no, they play whatever the people.
Okay.
They play whatever people are playing on their phone.
Yeah, they can put, they can.
But they're
it's a
probably-
single-
Oh, right.
it's a
like YouTube
single,
and things and-
Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah,
You can connect it to your phone.
I know, I'm really not a dinosaur. I just haven't indulged in that particular game before.
We're talking about
Right, yes,
this size.
Yes.
Young people are.
And the outside area, all the speakers are pointed at the.
right. Now, how loud can they go? Can you restrict the volume on that?
We can.
Right,
Part of the outside area, when we sit down with Alistair, was, it's got, like numbers.
and you can modify that.
And we decided that we will go until the number 5.
Right, okay.
5 further steps. We decided not to do this because when Alistair and.
And Alistair, did you find that that was reasonable? That was the right volume?
I think it was my colleague, Mr. Ponton, who kind of did that. So what it would have been is like the background music, it would have been defined as background at level 5. So
But obviously,
Again, it's very subjective because obviously if you have lots of people, the background music is hardly noticeable. If the place is empty and it's, you know, evening, it might sound much better.
Like I just a point on licensing, and particularly Mr. Ponton, I don't think it is subjective. Background music is quite clear. If you can hear it from outside the boundary of the premises, it's clearly not background music, and clearly, Mr. Holland probably can comment better, is that the complaints have come in. So if that music can be heard and can be monitored, it's clearly not background music.
Yeah,
Background music is not subjective. It's simply, it should be played and shouldn't be heard. From outside the premises or the boundary, and clearly it's from GP perspective.
So you're saying that the recordings can be taken from outside people's premises?
No, Mr. Holland can comment on
And
it.
so inside or in the curtilage, so the curtilage of property includes, say, a balcony, for example, okay?
But a balcony is outside.
Yes, it's within a look at the property. And likewise, you know, back garden would also be in a different, normally have a requirement to back garden to be able to inside.
So can I ask a question now? Have you got evidence that they've taken the audits from inside the property? For me, from balcony doesn't feel, but that's outside.
Yeah,
It's right by the main road, right by the pond.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, some of the 40, 50-ish noise recordings, we get their associate summary, we get the location, what the noise is, the scale, and subject the scale, so 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 6 out of 10. Also the location, so living room.
Okay, that's just, is that just written statement?
There's a written statement, also GPS track. So we get the GPS when.
Is it, can I, for clarification now, is it possible somebody could have that app on their phone? I mean, obviously, this is probably the most frequent complaint that councillors get about about noise. So we always advise people to go to the noise app and download that to monitor the situation, whatever they're complaining about. I mean, obviously, you're not in my ward, so I would have no knowledge of issues, you know, about your premises coming to me. But we'll say to people, get the app, which you can download it. Is it possible, Mr. Holland, that people can download the app and have it on their phone and then perhaps wander closer to these premises?
Yeah. So the system that Newport had within the use of the mobile, your GPS within your phone your location setting must be activated, and that has an accuracy of normally about 4 meters, and you must have that turned on to be able to do it. So I can go onto the system and I can see the exact location by clock.
Within 5 meters.
Or within a couple of meters of where that location is. And then you can also tell us effectively you're listening to them,
Right.
whether it's in different kind of ambience if you're outside of the phone.
Mm.
I don't know, I'm happy to sort of respond to some of the points raised or.
Right.
Can you confirm there's more than one complaint?
Well, more than one, yeah. So that was one of my points. So just so that, because there's quite a lot, as you can imagine, quite a lot of evidence from our end on the back end of this, certainly against the event notice, which is the kind of threshold we've hit in terms of statutory nuisance. We have looking at 4 residential complaint addresses plus anonymous complaints, so there's 5 complaints at least. And I would also refute that there are any other licensed premises, allegation of other licensed premises making complaint. I would very strongly refute. These are residential properties with residents who are affected by this. I do agree with that, and certainly we professionally we would very struggle to take the kind of force action based on if it's happened in the licensed premises.
But it wasn't about making a complaint from other business. It's the business owners who lives in that area who are our direct competition.
Of course, okay.
And there's several things here I want to clarify, and they may come, I'm sure my colleagues have got other questions as well. They might cover some of these. There was a complaint in 18 prior to COVID. What was that about?
So there was just pick up, there were two complaints in 18. So 19th of March 2018 and the 19th of October 2018. So what I've done is essentially, just to follow that historical context, I basically picked up every single complaint we had lodged against the premises, just as a summary of the date if we're not happy to go through everything or.
No, I don't want to. I just want to establish which of these complaints may have been contributed to by the strange circumstances that we had around COVID. You know, you expanding your footprint outside, noise, it is conceivable. Well, obviously, there's going to be a bit more noise from that if people are spread out over a wider area. So I wanted to establish what was going on in 18. Was there, I don't know whether you were managing the premises then or what the circumstances were, but I wanted to find out really historically whether there'd been a slips or whether this was something, you know, you don't have a ready explanation for.
I don't particularly remember this date,
Right.
Because it's been about 5 years, but anything that I mentioned and all the steps which you make, we make them as we go for business. So if we learn that there is some sort of issue, we are happy to justify it. So let's say if that was the first ever issue, and let's say it was because the doors were open, then from that moment on, the next step was, okay, next time when we have an event, we close the door. And this is how I would like to say, like, that I know that if, let's say, these two gentlemen will come and visit us and then told us, okay, if you can do this, this and that, rather than being in such an official capacity.
Yeah. And some of these things you have recognised that there might be a weakness in your procedures and you have corrected it when you've been aware of what it was.
And it was sent to the COVID.
Yeah.
The certain name on the licensing, and we were happy to oblige and follow these rules as long as we have someone to talk to and we can rectify this as we go.
Just thinking about this logically, we had a very hot summer, or certain bits of it were very hot. Were there a rush of complaints during the period when people may have been leaving their windows open in local residential accommodation nearby?
It's summer 2020.
This summer just gone. So we would have had a period. We had a period in June, didn't we? I think there was another big in July and then August. It was quite hot.
Yeah, no, so to be honest, in terms of the historical complaints, there's not a massive rush in the summer.
I would have expected that anyway, because you would have had people who are outside, wouldn't you?
But I suppose if I could jump back to that, two elements to complaints that we usually find is like music, entertainment, you know, the actual by music, and then keyboard noise. So that there's chatting, shouting, screaming, you know, kind of everything. The majority of these complaints relate to the actual amplifier or the live music, that element, as opposed necessarily to the presence of people. What we've also, in terms of, I think, Jan's response, we had, as I say, 16 complaints prior to that notice, and then the event was served in September 2021. We then, I'd say, we've had 6 complaints subsequent to that notice. So, in terms of the measures that the premises have taken at the point of service of that notice, so largely done. Okay. And actually, I'd say, in terms of what Jan's response to the premises response, you know, closing doors and windows, SIA, vehicle security, not emptying the bins, utilising indoor space for events, pretty much they're ticking the box of complying with the majority of the current rights and conditions we're requesting to be added back on. So actually, it's kind of a happy coincidence that actually, you know, we're sort of, you know, we're closing the loop, as it were, for actually what the premises are essentially doing.
I would like to mention that the abatement notice was set on the 11th of the 12th. 2021. So since 2021, we only had
six complaints I heard.
So we obviously improved.
So that shows a pattern of improvement.
So
you're telling us that you're satisfied that
You're not far apart, actually,
Yeah.
are you?
no.
And
You're not far apart.
Out of these 6, we only knew about 2
Right.
officially. So if we knew about more of them,
So there's a communication issue.
I would like to say so. I would say if we can communicate better, and maybe it needs to come from our part as well. But if that's possible, then I think we don't have to be here at all.
I'm sorry, we try to keep our questions directed at the people who have spoken last. No, it's all right, but I would like to go back to Mr. Dealing on this one now. This question of you feel that the complaints are coming about noise that's originating in the main building of the pod, is that correct? not from these outside buildings?
Yeah.
Right, okay. I just wanted to ask, if there's a review of the footprint of the land which the pod currently occupies.
So the current area that they occupy, as you've heard, doesn't.
It's not a planning, it's not a planning.
Yeah, but it might be where the noise is being.
So from whatever decision you make from this meeting,
Yeah.
I think further that ourselves, pod and planning, will have a meeting to discuss that footprint and look at a viable solution for all concerned. And there was always questions about encroaching towards local residents. The area clearly an asset to the premises, but also it has encroached nearer to residents. So it probably needs that discussion with planning ourselves to look for a manageable solution. I spoke to planning only a couple of days about this, and some areas probably are viable, but it needs to go to that consultation with the relevant people around the room to have those discussions, including our colleagues from environmental.
And at that stage, the local population would be invited to put their comments in as well, wouldn't it, if it goes to planning?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Chair, can I ask Alison?
Yes. Yeah.
There's a large car park outside.
Yes.
Is that just for the residents of those flats or for your building?
So yeah, we got 3 car park spaces.
Just 3 car park spaces, and the rest are the residents.
Yeah.
But on a rugby or a football day, would supporters park in there without any pay?
They've got the passing by.
Yeah.
Do these complaints originate on match days? Have we got record complaints on match days?
Some of the ones taken after the bank notice, definitely the 2nd of April. And it kind of expected because the whole area.
Yes.
And also the they display fireworks, which on a regular occasions. So that could be part of the reading as well, because these are within the licensing hours as well. It's before 11 o'clock, and I would like to ask if any of these were outside of the hour licensing.
I would need to do a trawl of all the complaints to identify exact time, but I'm happy to see what to take a bit of time to get information.
Are you acknowledging that some of those complaints would happen on match days?
Looking at the number of dates, I'm relatively sure that some of them may have. I say I need to do a trawl of match days, picture versus.
Comes in about a premises.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily tell the premises that we've had a complaint about you.
No, so not necessarily everything complaint. And I do certainly acknowledge, I mean, you mentioned sort of communication breakdown.
So they're totally unaware a complaint has come in until someone contacts them officially.
So that's relatively correct. Yeah. So if we have a general nuisance investigation and we're looking at it from a perspective, nuisance perspective, right initially, then the first two complaints that get from their premises or sickness or their property would be notified of that complaint with a standard set of letters that we go through. And then as we go through, if there's a significant number of complaints in the city, so it's not necessarily contracts and everything like that. But because we need to, for us, verify the right things, etc. Yeah, I do accept that, it's not communicating that.
You've got, we see the technically advanced pod things for phone music, but have you got outside benches as well? I can see something that's coming up on the map here, but I'm not actually sure whether it is a bench that big in the river. Are those benches along the side of the river there? Are there areas where people can sit outside?
Yeah, so it's all kind of reading.
So that these are the furthest point away from the local residents, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
These speakers are facing towards town.
Right, okay. Okay, thank you.
I think first, to make it more sufficient, we choose to connect with area with big speakers and have them pointed their direction.
Yes.
We decided to have a sequence of small speakers,
Yeah.
which distribute the noise inwards, so they are in purpose being made, so they are facing very
Right.
specific.
Where are the bands playing? If you've had bands, even if they're the small sort of 3-person groups, where are they playing?
Always indoors,
Right.
since the.
Okay. And you have implemented things like the seals of soundproof seals on the doors
We have a.
and on the windows.
Windows, and we have a seals.
Right, okay, and the bands are only ever playing inside.
Change the air conditioning units.
To make sure that when it's hot days,
Right,
we can keep the doors open.
okay, right,
The bars play towards the river end.
right, okay,
Not this side.
okay. So they're at this end of the, yeah.
But like I mentioned, the last complaint which we received.
To be honest, I thought it was just a restaurant. Didn't realise you had bands playing it.
But with the last complaint, we realized when we next one door, which was the back door of the kitchen. And that the noise allowed to escape in there, but since then, we rectified this.
Right. I think you need to download the app as well, and then you can check what is reasonable, you know, what complaints are reasonable, you know, that you would think were valid, yeah. I think, have either of you got some more questions?
No.
I think.
Very straightforward.
No swings.
Is the app that residents are issued with, is it able to identify the type of noise, or is it just a digital, you know, a digital, a numeric volume level?
So it's a numeric volume level, so the perceptive level, you know, like I deem it to be 9 out of 10 or 3 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's an option to physically record for 30 seconds, so you push and hold a button and it will audibly record the audio for 30 seconds. And then they'll state what the nature of the music is, so barking dog or light music or shouting, screaming, etc., depending on the variety of other complaints that are used within the team. And then it'll also state the location, so they'll self-state the location, bedroom, lounge, living room, garden, etc.
Okay.
And then we'll also state the GPS track of the locations like that thing. Yeah, we also, within the team, we have calibrated high quality internal monitoring equipment that I don't believe would be necessary in this case, but we have options to monitor.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Do we, yeah, do you want to say anything else to close? Do you want to sum up in any way? Is there anything further that you want to add that we haven't been over before?
Like I said, if possible, for our benefit, this outcome we are the we don't get any hard decision for getting a business. We are the license as it is, more closely with authorities to make adjustments and to be able to do it in our own.
I'm sure that we can all agree that we'd like all our unlicensed premises to be working more closely with the licensing authority. Well, if you feel that you've been listened to and you've had a fair hearing today, well, I'd ask you now if you leave us and we'll make a decision. You will hear from us. I don't quite know what the procedure is for this one today. We call you again. Right, okay. And obviously you'll get that. You know, we will tell you what our decision is, and we'll also inform you in writing. And if you wish to appeal it, you've got 21 days to appeal to Magistrates Court, which I'm obviously obliged to tell you about as well. Right. So thank you very much. Okay.
Sure.
No, we'll get you back in if you want to wait, or if you Right, thank you for that. Thank you for waiting for us. Well, we deliberated. We're ready to tell you what decisions we've made now. Now, we're going to require you to remove the outside speakers from outside the area. We're also going to require you to cease the playing of live music from, after 10:30. And we're going to ask you, with this recorded music business, we want you to agree with environmental health on an appropriate level, volume level. Okay? So we've tried to, we've been mindful of that you need to continue to run a business. We recognise everything that has been said about the safe place that you're offering, and we obviously want you to continue to be one of our successful and popular venues in the city, or just outside the city, over the other side of the bridge. So thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Excuse me.